The night was unnaturally quiet. The road stretched endlessly into darkness, empty and forgotten, as if no one had passed through it for years. Ahmed drove alone, his headlights cutting through the thick black night. There was something strange about this road, a heavy silence that made his chest feel tight. A cold wind brushed against his car, even though the windows were closed. He tightened his grip on the steering wheel, trying to ignore the uneasy feeling creeping into his mind. The deeper he went, the darker and more lifeless the surroundings became. No houses, no lights, just an endless road swallowed by darkness. Suddenly, his headlights flickered for a second. Ahmed frowned. "Just my imagination," he whispered to himself. But then, he noticed something ahead. Far in the distance, a faint white figure stood still in the middle of the road. His heart skipped a beat. As the car moved closer, the shape became clearer. It looked like a woman, standing completely motionless. A strange chill ran down his spine. Why would anyone stand here at this hour? The silence grew heavier. Even the sound of the engine seemed distant now. Ahmed slowed the car, his eyes fixed on the figure. The closer he got, the more unnatural it felt. She wasn't moving, not even a little. The wind had stopped. The night had gone completely still. And just before he could stop the car, the figure slowly raised her head. Ahmed's hands tightened around the steering wheel as the figure became clearer. It was a bride. She stood in the middle of the empty road, dressed in a white wedding gown that looked old and slightly torn. Her long dark hair covered most of her face, and she didn't move at all. Ahmed slowed the car, his heart pounding loudly in his chest. "What is she doing here?" he muttered. There were no houses nearby, no signs of life, just that silent, motionless bride. For a moment, he thought about driving past her, but something felt wrong. What if she needed help? Taking a deep breath, he stopped the car a few feet away. The engine kept running, but everything else felt dead. No wind, no insects, no sound. He rolled down the window slightly. "Are you okay?" Ahmed called out nervously. "Do you need help?" The bride didn't respond. Not even a slight movement. A cold chill spread through the air, making Ahmed shiver. He hesitated, then slowly opened the car door and stepped out. The moment his foot touched the ground, the temperature seemed to drop even more. "Hello," he said again, his voice weaker this time. The bride's head remained lowered. Ahmed took a few careful steps closer. Then suddenly, the bride's fingers twitched. Ahmed froze. A second later, her head began to lift, slowly, unnaturally. But just as her face was about to be revealed, she vanished. Completely. Gone. Ahmed stumbled back in shock, his breath stuck in his throat. The road was empty again, as if she had never been there. But deep inside, he knew something was terribly wrong. Ahmed stood frozen in the middle of the road, his heart racing wildly. "She disappeared," he whispered, his voice shaking. The empty road stretched around him once again, silent and lifeless. There was no sign of the bride. No footprints, no sound, nothing. For a moment, he questioned his own mind. Maybe I'm just tired. Trying to calm himself, Ahmed quickly got back into the car and locked the doors. His hands trembled as he gripped the steering wheel. "I need to leave now." He pressed the accelerator. The car moved forward, but something felt off. The cold hadn't gone away. In fact, it was getting worse. A strange heaviness filled the air inside the car. His breath became visible, as if the temperature had dropped below freezing. Ahmed frowned and rubbed his arms. That's not normal. Then, he heard it. A faint sound. Soft, almost like fabric brushing against the seat. His heart skipped a beat. Slowly, very slowly, Ahmed's eyes moved toward the rearview mirror. For a second, he saw nothing. Just darkness. He exhaled in relief. But then, a shadow shifted. Right behind him, Ahmed's breath stopped. His eyes widened as he focused on the mirror again. There, in the back seat, something was sitting, perfectly still. A pale hand slowly appeared from the darkness, resting on the seat. Ahmed couldn't move, couldn't breathe. And then, a soft whisper echoed inside the car. "I never left." Ahmed's body went completely stiff. The whisper still echoed in his ears. "I never left." His hands trembled uncontrollably on the steering wheel. He wanted to turn around, but fear held him frozen. Slowly, very slowly, he forced his eyes back to the rearview mirror. The back seat was no longer empty. The bride was sitting there. Her head was slightly tilted, her long dark hair covering her face. Her white dress looked even older now, stained and lifeless. Ahmed's breath became shallow. How did you get in here?" he whispered. No response. The car suddenly felt freezing cold. His windows began to fog up from the inside. He quickly wiped the mirror with his shaking hand. And then, the bride moved. Her head lifted a little higher. Strand by strand, her hair slowly slid away from her face. Ahmed's eyes widened in terror. Her skin was pale, unnaturally pale. Her lips were dark and slightly curved into a faint smile. But her eyes, they were completely black, empty, endless. Ahmed tried to scream, but no sound came out. The car's engine started to fail, making a low choking noise. The headlights flickered rapidly. "Please, just leave me alone," Ahmed begged. The bride leaned forward, closer and closer, until her face was right behind his shoulder. A freezing breath touched his neck. Then she whispered again, this time louder, clearer. "You stopped for me. Now you belong to me." The car suddenly came to a violent halt, and the darkness outside swallowed everything. The car stood still in the middle of the dark road. Ahmed's heart pounded so loudly it felt like it would burst out of his chest. The bride's cold breath lingered near his neck. "You belong to me." Her voice echoed again, softer this time, but more terrifying. Ahmed shut his eyes tightly, trying to gather courage. "This isn't real. This can't be real," he whispered. But when he opened his eyes again, she was still there, closer now, her pale face almost touching his shoulder, her black, empty eyes staring straight into him. In panic, Ahmed suddenly pushed the accelerator. The car jerked forward violently, speeding down the empty road. The engine roared, breaking the deadly silence. For a moment, it felt like he might escape. But then, the lights went out. Everything turned pitch black. The engine died again. The car slowed and stopped. Ahmed's breathing became heavy. No, no, no. His hands searched frantically for the door handle. He pulled it. Locked. All doors were locked. The windows wouldn't open. He was trapped. A faint sound filled the car. Soft, like someone laughing very quietly. Ahmed turned his head slowly. The bride was no longer behind him. His eyes widened in horror. Where did she go? And then, from the darkness in front of him, a face appeared, right outside the windshield. Her face, smiling, her black eyes glowing faintly in the dark. And with a sudden loud crack, her hand slammed against the glass. The loud crack of her hand against the windshield echoed through the dead silence. Ahmed screamed, stumbling back against his seat. Her face was right there, pressed against the glass, unnaturally close. Her lips stretched into a wide, disturbing smile. Her black eyes stared straight into his soul. "Let me in," she whispered, though she was already inside. Ahmed shook his head violently. "No, stay away from me." He grabbed the steering wheel again, desperately trying to start the car. The key trembled in his hand as he turned it again and again. Nothing. The engine refused to respond. Outside, the bride slowly lifted her hand and dragged her fingers across the windshield. A sharp screeching sound filled the air. Thin cracks began to spread across the glass. Ahmed's breath became rapid and uneven. "It's going to break." The cracks grew larger, wider, closer to shattering. Suddenly, everything stopped. The cracks disappeared. The windshield became normal again. The bride was gone, completely gone. Ahmed blinked in confusion. Silence returned. Deep, suffocating silence. Is it over?" he whispered. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a drop of something cold fell onto his hand. Ahmed slowly looked down. It was dark, thick, dripping from above. His heart stopped. With unbearable fear, he slowly lifted his eyes upward, toward the roof of the car. And there, clinging upside down like something inhuman, the bride stared back at him, her face inches away, smiling wider than ever before. Ahmed's entire body shook as he looked upward. The bride was there, clinging to the ceiling of the car in an impossible way, as if gravity meant nothing to her. Her white dress hung upside down, flowing strangely in the airless space. Her long hair dangled toward Ahmed's face like black threads. He couldn't move, couldn't even scream properly. Only a broken whisper escaped his lips. "What are you?" The bride slowly tilted her head. Her neck bent at an unnatural angle, cracking softly. Then she smiled wider. Too wide. Her lips stretched beyond what should have been humanly possible. "You invited me in," she said softly. Ahmed's vision blurred with fear. I didn't. I didn't know. The car suddenly shook violently. The windows rattled. The lights flickered like dying flames. The bride began to descend, slowly floating down toward him. Upside down, getting closer and closer. Ahmed pressed himself against the door, trying to escape, but his body wouldn't listen. The air inside the car turned ice cold. His breath turned visible again. She was inches away now. Her black eyes locked onto his. Empty. Endless. Then she whispered, "There is no way out now." The moment her hand touched his shoulder, everything went silent. No engine. No wind. No sound. Just darkness. And Ahmed. Gone. The car remained on the empty road, doors locked, lights off, as if it had been abandoned for years. And somewhere in that silence, a soft laugh echoed once more, fading into the night. Silence swallowed everything. Ahmed was gone. The car sat in the middle of the deserted road like a lifeless object, its doors locked and windows fogged from the inside. No movement, no sound, only darkness surrounding it like a living thing. Minutes passed, or maybe hours. Time no longer made sense. Then, the headlights flickered once, weakly, as if the car was still breathing. Inside, the rearview mirror slowly began to clear, and in it, a shape appeared again. The bride was sitting in the back seat, perfectly still, but something was different this time. She wasn't looking at the front anymore. She was looking directly into the mirror, smiling, as if waiting. Outside the car, a cold wind suddenly passed through the empty road. Dead silence returned immediately after. Then, very faintly, a new sound emerged. A car engine in the distance. Another traveler. Another night. The bride slowly tilted her head, as if she had heard it too. Her smile widened. The car's doors remained locked. But this time, they didn't need to open. Because she was no longer trapped inside the car. She was waiting outside again, on the same empty road, for the next driver who would stop. The headlights in the distance grew brighter, closer, and as they approached, a faint figure in white stood once more in the middle of the road. Still, silent, waiting, and the wind carried a whisper through the darkness. "I am still waiting for my groom." The cycle had begun again. The night on the same road felt unchanged, yet everything was different. The bride stood in the middle of the empty highway once again. Still, silent, waiting. A soft mist rolled across the road, making everything look unreal, like a dream that had turned into a nightmare. Her white dress moved slightly with the wind, even though there was no strong breeze. She tilted her head slowly, as if listening. A new sound was approaching. Another engine. Another car. Another unsuspecting traveler. The bride's smile returned. Not wide, not terrifying at first, just patient, as if she had all the time in the world. The headlights appeared in the distance, growing brighter, closer. Inside the approaching car, the driver saw her. A woman in white standing in the middle of the road, just like before, just like every time. He slowed down, confused, concerned, and just like Ahmed, he stopped. The engine idled in the silence. The bride didn't move, not even a step. The driver rolled down his window slightly. "Are you okay?" he called out. No answer, only silence. Heavy, unnatural silence. Then slowly, she lifted her head, and the driver saw her face. And for a brief second, his expression changed to fear. The bride smiled again, softly, as if recognizing him, as if he was expected. The wind stopped completely. The road felt frozen in time, and the last thing the driver heard was a whisper carried through the dark air. "You stopped, so you belong too." The headlights flickered, and the night swallowed everything once again. The night felt heavier than before. The road was the same, but the curse had deepened. The bride stood there again, unmoving, as another car slowly stopped in front of her. The driver inside hesitated for only a moment, just like Ahmed had once done. That moment was enough. The silence wrapped around him like a trap. He stepped out of the car, and the world seemed to pause. No wind, no sound, no life. Only the bride in white, standing a few feet away. Her face was hidden under her dark hair, but her presence felt stronger than anything human. The driver tried to speak, but his voice didn't come out properly. Then slowly, she lifted her head, and he saw her face. It was pale, emotionless, endless darkness in her eyes. A faint smile appeared on her lips. Not angry, not sad, just patient, as if she had been waiting for him forever. Behind him, the car door closed on its own. Click. Locked. The driver turned back quickly, but it was too late. The car was empty now, as if it had never belonged to him. A cold whisper moved through the air. You stopped, so the journey ends here. The bride stepped closer, and with each step she took, the world around them faded, like reality itself was disappearing. The road, the trees, the night, everything dissolved into darkness. And then silence. The curse had no beginning and no end. Only a cycle, a road that never forgets, and a bride who never stops waiting. Some say if you drive alone on that road at night, you might still see her, standing, smiling, waiting for the next one.